everyone, how's it going? My name is Adara. So, animation. I think we can all agree that it's a great medium of storytelling, right? With all its beautiful colors, movements, and visuals. I love every single kind of animation out there, but to me, the most unique forms are the ones that stand out the most, especially the kinds that use unconventional materials to create those animations, like atom animation, sand animation, and paint on glass animation, which all have one thing in common. They all branch off my favorite kind of animation there is, stop motion. I love the medium and believe it's the most beautiful kind there is. Digital 2D, 3D, CGI, and stop motion capture animation are pretty great as well. But to me, stop motion just contains a certain magic that I can't usually explain with simple words. But I promise you that I sure as heck am gonna try. So without further ado, here are some reasons why I think stop motion animation is the best kind there is. To give a quick history of the medium of animation, I like to emphasize first and foremost how old it is. The first stop-motion animation ever made was called The Humpty Dumpty Circus in 1898, which consisted of the movement of a bunch of circus toys. Sadly, the only thing that remains of that animation is this one screenshot. You know, it's kind of funny how the first stop-motion animation and first 3D animated film both revolved around the concepts of moving toys now that I think about it. I guess that means it's a bit of an older idea, but I digress. Since then, from the early 1900s until the 1980s, stop-motion went through many periods of experimentation, techniques, and creativity. There is a huge library when it comes to the variety of stop motion and the infinite potential that it has. A few interesting examples include the beautiful Luca Linda, which involved using dead beetles and moving them around like puppets. And much later, any of the Key Brothers' eerie work, which I fucking live for. But regardless of the medium in which they create the stop motion, it can be agreed on that it takes a lot of work, dedication, and especially creativity. The infinite possibilities that come with the varied kind of stop motion that you can create is spectacular. I think the most special thing about that is that since there is an infinite possibility for stop motion, it's safe to say that not every kind has yet to be discovered. Anyone could create a new kind of stop motion technique if they really wanted to. The potential is definitely there. All you need is a camera and a little bit of imagination. So in comparison to 2D and 3D animation, which requires a lot more artistic skill, stop motion is a much broader and accessible medium of animation. The accessibility comes with a price, however. Like in the word of the great Anton Ego, but the basic idea is big still. No anyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere. And stop motion is no exception to that. Sure, it's something that is easier for everyone to do in a broader technical sense compared to computer 2D and 3D animation. However, this kind of animation requires overcoming the most difficult challenge you could ever face. This has been my arch enemy ever since the day I was born. More difficult than battling monsters or going through painstaking journeys. That's right, I'm of course talking about having a lot of patience. And I really do mean a lot of patience. I believe that stop motion is more special because it takes a lot more painstaking work and detail. For those who don't know how it works, the animation consists basically of moving an object ever so slightly, whatever that object might be, taking a picture, then going back to it, moving it again ever so slightly, taking another picture, and so on and so forth, until you finally obtained a moving image.
What? What the fuck?
Who the fuck has the patience for this? Lunatics, I say. But hey, this world would not be as fun if we didn't have crazy people out there. And that's why I love it so much. Stop motion animators deserve so much love and recognition for the amount of painstaking work they put in their craft. Let me leave you with an example. The most recognizable stop-motion franchise in the world, including the first clay stop-motion film targeted at children, is Wallace and Gromit, who has a fairly large yet niche fan base today. Let's take their biggest film as an example, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. You guys better get ready, because I'm gonna put some film theory science on your butts. But first, I want to make it more fun. How many frames do you guys think it took? Let's do a little guessing game, shall we? Is the answer A, 1,440, B, 6,440, C, 10,600, or D, 69,420? Let me give you guys a few seconds to think about it. Wrong! The answer is actually 129,600 frames! Pretty crazy number, am I right? Since the number is so big, I will give you guys a quick explanation on how I calculated it myself. Every second of animation from that film requires 24 frames to create. So, if you multiply 24 by 60, which is the amount of seconds in a minute, you would have 1,440 frames per minute. Yes, the answer in option A. Take it as a life lesson, guys, if you're taking any tests. Those pop really often in them. But moving on. If you take that number and multiply it by the minutes of how long the movie is, which is roughly 90 or an hour and a half, you will arrive with your answer. Pretty crazy, right? I seriously don't know how they don't lose their minds while doing this job. But it certainly must be more fun than working in an office all day, right? Besides, at the very least, if you work with a company, you will have a lot of coworkers helping you out, all with their own unique abilities and specialities. They're all very simple in concept, but extremely important overall. Unfortunately, if you are an independent artist, just making a 5-minute animation with frame-by-frame animation can be absolute hell. I've actually done this before on my very channel. Back in 2018, I made this lovely video to celebrate the fact that David Firth was making an episode 11 of Salad Fingers, which came out the following year. I don't know how many frames it took me, but I will tell you this. I had to move that damn mouth frame by frame to create 5 minutes of animation. That painstaking work took me an entire month to complete. To be honest with you guys, it was a painstaking experience, but I'm glad I did it for that at the very least. But I don't think I'm ever doing it again. And that was just the mouth. Can you imagine the nightmare that it must have been for Nick Parr to create a grand day out? The 90s were a crazy time, man. But we artists suffer for our craft and we love it. And that is another reason why I respect these animators so much. All animators suffer for their craft, of course. I'm just highlighting stop motion animation in this video. So now that we talked a little bit about the history and how stop motion animation is made, let's dive into my own personal reasons why I love this medium so much. Like many children, maybe even many of you, I was introduced to the medium of stop motion animation through the works of Aardman Studios, who is one of the most popular clay animation studios of all time. I highlight the studio itself because I wasn't just introduced to Wallace and Gromit when I grew up. I also remember seeing a few of their shorts as a child, not to mention the beloved Chicken Run, which came before Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Speaking of which, did you know that they're making a sequel that's predicted to come out in 2023? I can't wait, man. But yeah, I am and always will be a huge Aardman Studio fan. I was just so fascinated by this beautiful and detail-filled kind of animation. I used to watch the first 3 shorts of Wallace and Gromit and all of the cracking contractions over and over again as a child. Unfortunately, however, I feel like Aardman started making content that was more child-friendly targeted in the past decade with their money-making show and movies of Shaun the Sheep and their kid-friendly YouTube channel. I liked Shaun in the closed shape, but seeing as the studio put most, if not all of their energy on Shaun the Sheep for a really long time, honestly annoys me. I watched the first movie and a few of the episodes of the series. It looks cute and all, but it's just not as intelligent as Aardman's other works, I feel like. In fact, I've watched watched every single full-length Iron Man feature film except Farmageddon because I know I really won't like it. I didn't like Early Man either because it was so soccer-centered, something I didn't know going into the movie. But Sean just bores me to death, man. But overall, I'll always have a soft spot for the studio. They were a big part of my childhood and I still care for their work today. I look forward to Chicken Run too. So please don't let me down, Artman. But alas, I wanted to talk about the other really popular studio that gave a huge impact on my life. When I was younger, I thought that no studio could be as good and give just as much amazing content as Aardman. But boy, I was wrong. Laika is just as good, if not better. I remember watching Coraline when I was 12 years old in the cinema. I've always had a really strange attraction to creepy things, horror, and overall frightening things in general. But I wasn't aware of it until I was much older. Coraline definitely helped in contributing with that though. I loved this movie when I was a child. I still do. But at the same time, this shit? This was fucking terrifying to me, man. I am not joking when I said that this shit traumatized me. Thanks a lot, Selleck. Dude, I had frequent nightmares with Other Mother up until I was around 18, man. 18! That's like 6 years of torment. But even with all of that fear, I couldn't stop watching it. The gorgeous world, the spectacular animation, amazing characters and writing. This movie is so fucking perfect. And Neil Gaiman is now my fucking muse. He's so good at his job. But not only that, before we had Coraline, we had Corpse Bride. Yeah, bet you didn't know that Laika made this film. But not only that, Paranorman and Kubo were also amazing films. Coraline is still my favorite, but those three are wonderful, each in their own unique way. To conclude, Laika has been making really fantastic work and is not showing any signs of stopping. Their films can be enjoyed by people of all ages, and it takes their audience very seriously, which I appreciate. They also have quite a lovely TikTok account if you would like to check those videos out. They're really neat. These two juggernaut studios aside, there are dozens of other small indie clay animation studios all over the world. There are even a few studios that make all sorts of different films and dabble into the medium like Mary and Max by Icon Productions, which if you've been around my channel before, you might have noticed that it's my favorite clay animation film of all time. Or some of Wes Anderson films like Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs, both of which I have seen. However, because the medium of clay animation is so expensive and takes this much work to make, it's not worth it for many studios or people to partake in it. Not to mention that since the medium is so niche, it loses to more popular or more saturated animated movies easily, which is a shame. But the truth of the matter is that as much as you and I give a damn about these things, the common person most likely does not. So I doubt things might change in that aspect, at least change drastically. There's a reason that movies like The Lion King live action remake made as much money as it did. So what are my closing thoughts? Well, the media of stop motion has evolved greatly with the century of its existence. It's a very honorable job that takes a lot of creativity, hard work, perseverance, and especially love. So I really do humbly salute anyone who has worked on this field, plans to, or has a passion for it overall. I want it to keep thriving and surviving all its ordeals and challenges for years, in the hopes to one day live in a world that loves and appreciates it as much as I do. And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good shit to help my channel grow. Please share this video to preach the word of the greatness that is stop motion animation. And tell me guys, what's your favorite stop motion film and why? Leave those thoughts and answers in the comments below. I read every single one and interact with comments frequently. If you would like to help fund more projects like this, please consider pledging $1 over to my Ko-Fi page. That being said, I hope you have a wonderful day and remember to stay determined. TTFN, guys!